Thank you so much for joining us for CBN Newswatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, the Islamic regime of Iran keeping security forces on the street as some reports say killing continues, even as Iranians say they will keep up their actions against the government, trying to bring it down. Iran warns the U.S. not to attack, even as the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier heads towards the Middle East, along with other Navy ships. All of that as Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issues a warning to Iran as well. We're going to bring you the story from Jerusalem. President Donald Trump doubles down in his quest to acquire Greenland for the U.S. for national security reasons. Greenland is part of Denmark, and we're going to bring you the reaction from the streets of Copenhagen. And we're going to hear how understanding the way your brain deals with your pain can help you to minimize or even eliminate your suffering. All those stories and more right now on CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
It is Tuesday, the 20th of January. We're going to begin this half hour in Iran, where the Islamic Republic is trying to smother the protests through a sweeping campaign of mass arrest and intimidation. But the confrontations don't stop there, as the war of words is also continuing between Israel, the U.S., and Iranian leaders. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story. He's reporting from Jerusalem.
Iran's top police official issued an ultimatum on Monday saying the protesters must hand themselves in or face the full force of the law. Tens of thousands of protesters have been swept up in a nationwide manhunt, while regime forces patrolling the streets are threatening to shoot anyone who comes outside. Despite the internet shutdown, some reports say the killing continues. One doctor reportedly described the crackdown as genocide under digital darkness. Even so, one Iranian woman told this radio talk show many remain defiant against the regime.
مطمئن باشید ما کارمون رو داریم انجام میدیم. ما تموم نمی‌کنیم. اینا 20,000 از هموطنای دست گل منو کشتن. مگه من میتونم بشینم تو خونم حرف نزنم؟ من دیگه اصلا نمیتونم اینا رو تحمل کنم. ما خودمون این راهو شروع کردیم. ما خودمون داریم پیش میریم و خودمون هم باید تمومش کنیم.
Iran's president warned on Sunday that any U.S. strike on the country would provoke a harsh response, and that any attack on its supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, would be tantamount to a full-scale war on the Iranian nation. In a speech to the Knesset, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had his own warning for Iran.
If Iran makes a mistake and attacks us, we will act with a force that Iran has not yet experienced. No one can predict what the future holds for Iran, but one thing is clear: whatever happens, Iran will not return to what it was.
And exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi issued a direct message to Iran's supreme leader.
You are an anti-Iranian criminal. You have neither honor nor humanity. Your hands are stained with the blood of tens of thousands of Iranians, the blood of children, the blood of youth, the blood of the innocent. You, your regime, and all your mercenaries will be held accountable for every single drop of blood you have spilled, without exception.
A key question now is, will some in the military begin to turn against the regime and side with the protesters? And what action will President Trump take once the USS Abraham Lincoln, along with other Navy ships, get into the region? In the meantime, the Syrian army has advanced against Kurdish forces in northeast Syria.
What happened in the recent days is that the government of Syria essentially has sought to reconquer the east of Syria, to take the east of Syria from Syrian democratic forces and to bring about their dissolution. And yesterday, a ceasefire was announced, which basically gives the Syrian government everything that it wants.
Jonathan Spire of the Middle East Forum told CBN News, as it did against the minority Alawites and Druze, reports are coming out that jihadists are committing acts of rape, murder, and torture.
Because it is a Sunni jihadi force, the fact that these Sunni jihadi commanders have now been sort of officially rebadged as division commanders and battalion commanders in the new Syrian army is all very nice. But in reality, what they remain is the same Sunni jihadi fighters that we've known so well in the course of the Syrian civil war.
The Syrians have also released thousands of ISIS prisoners that many believe pose a deadly threat to the region, especially to the creation of a true democracy in Syria.
Going to continue our coverage now with Chris from Jerusalem. So, Chris, are the Iranian people determined to push ahead with their protest against the regime rather than just waiting for help from the United States or other countries? And what more can you tell us?
Well, from what we can tell, they're continuing in ways, in what ways they are getting without getting arrested or killed. They can do that. Some people are having trouble going out in the streets because these Bajis forces are actually saying, if you come out, we're going to shoot you. And we heard from that woman in our report, they're going to continue regardless of what the U.S. does. It seems there's been a tipping point there in Iran for many of the protesters and many of the millions of Iranians that they will continue. Pahlavi, for his, says that they will prevail. And as I said, that woman, is just representative of many of the Iranians right now. They have been shouting since almost the beginning of this protest, Ephraim, that this is the final battle. And they are looking for help from President Trump. But in the meantime, it looks like the regime is literally trying to run out the clock and doing what they can to just either kill or suppress or intimidate or arrest the protesters, just to try to suppress and smother these protests. In the meantime, the economic crisis for the regime remains. There's food shortages. There's inflation, just a desperate situation right now. And what really struck me, Ephraim, what the doctor said, this is a genocide under digital darkness, and that the internet remains shut down. That's why it's so important to be praying for the people of Iran at this time.
Is there a sense in Israel and other countries the Iranian regime's days are numbered?
Well, there's a sense that maybe the regime is running out of road, as some people have said it. The nationwide protests may not stop. They're facing international sanctions, and some people believe the gap between the regime and the people may be unbridgeable. Will the supreme leader compromise? Will he make concessions to protesters? It seems unlikely. Some people say that would be like drinking from a poisoned chalice. And as I said, the water crisis, which I hadn't mentioned, but is so desperate. The economic crisis, it remains to be seen what's next. Pahlavi hopes that he can be that transitional leader. He has a plan for that transition, but we'll see what happens in the next few days, especially when the Abraham Lincoln gets into the region.
We know that the U.S. aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln and other ships are traveling to the Middle East. What can you tell us about that?
Well, basically, it's an armada on its way, and just part of a massive military buildup. Guided missile submarines in the region that have cruise missiles. More than a dozen U.S. military transports have come here. Anti-missile batteries in the region. There's coordination between Israel and other regional partners like the UAE. Electronic warfare is going on right now. And also we have that rhetoric, that warning from President Trump that new leadership in Iran is necessary. And the White House is saying all options are on the table. So the military buildup and the rhetoric all points to perhaps a military intervention. We may see if it happens, how big it is, and whether or not it's possible to tip towards the regime and have the regime fall.
Shifting gears just a little bit, Israel has torn down the headquarters of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency in Jerusalem. What's the story behind that?
Well, Israel is saying that if their buildings weren't being used, and they had actually banned UNRWA here in Jerusalem a number of months ago. And so, but the Jordanians are protesting, the UN is protesting, but for the Israeli people, many people believe that UNRWA has been telling and educating more generations of Palestinians that they will return to Israel, replace Israel. And so this has been a battle that's been going on ever since the Gaza war in particular, because UNRWA and Hamas had really had an incestuous relationship. Many of the people in Hamas were members of UNRWA. So this is just sort of the latest step in the battle between UNRWA and Israel.
What's the latest in northeast Syria, and why is this important?
It's very important, Ephraim. It's the Syrian army, which is made up of many jihadists. These are former al-Qaeda members, and they're attempting to take over northeast Syria. The Kurds are now fighting. Now, northeast Syria has been, for the past 10 years or so, a really beacon of democracy and religious freedom here in the region. We understand that now the ceasefire may be over. The Kurds are fighting, and thousands of Kurds are coming from Iraq and Turkey to stand with the Kurds in northeast Syria. And as I said, it had been a bastion of democracy. And this also represents an expansion of Turkey and the new Syrian regime that would want to implement Sharia law, seemingly with tacit U.S. approval. Senator Lindsey Graham says because of this, he may want to ask for reimposition of the sanctions, and we'll see. But some people say maybe too late. And then, as we mentioned in the report, many ISIS prisoners have been released.
What do you have for us today on Jerusalem Dateline before we let you go?
Well, more analysis from Jonathan Spire. We have a story from CBN Israel helping people here in Israel in their way. CBN Israel does an amazing job, and certainly updates about the latest here in the Middle East.
All right, our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, thank you so much for your insights. Look forward to checking back in with you in the days ahead this week. I want to remind you at home, you can get the latest from Jerusalem Dateline at 8 p.m. Eastern on the CBN News Channel. You can also watch it on the CBN News app. It's also available on YouTube. Still ahead, the controversy over President Donald Trump's goal of acquiring Greenland for the United States national security. We're going to bring the reaction from the streets of Denmark when we come back. You're watching CBN News Watch.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning. Get your daily quick start from CBN News. A quick read on the important news of the day delivered right to your inbox. Stay current on breaking news, politics, and entertainment. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Plus, get exclusive stories and daily scripture encouragement just for you. Stay informed. Go to quickstart.news and subscribe today.
President Trump threatens to acquire Greenland have sparked outrage in Denmark, one of America's closest NATO allies. Greenland is a self-governing territory within Denmark. CBN correspondent Chuck Holton was in Copenhagen, and thousands took to the streets to protest what they see as a betrayal of a decades-long friendship.
Thousands of Danes marched from Copenhagen City Hall to the U.S. Embassy, waving Greenlandic flags and chanting. For many Danes, the American rhetoric feels like a betrayal of decades of military partnership.
We've always been like strong allies with the U.S. Personally, I've always loved the U.S. and our military. They have been standing ready always. We were the only country to lose as many troops as the Americans in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we support America full on every time.
Well, about 10,000 people have showed up here outside the U.S. Embassy in Copenhagen for a shockingly well-behaved protest. It's pretty clear that the people here are not as much angry as they are just befuddled, because everybody keeps saying, we're supposed to be friends. And they just don't understand how all of a sudden they turned into the bad guy in the eyes of President Trump. The sense of disbelief is widespread among protesters.
Well, it's like a surreal, you know. This is like, well, this is not even, you know, happening because, well, I think that we've seen, looked upon, you know, the U.S. as a trusted partner. We have also tried, you know, to be a trusted partner the other way, and he really believed in this mutual, you know, collaboration. And then suddenly it's turned around, and I don't think it has even, you know, sunk in yet what is happening. But it just, I guess it shows that even your closest friends, you cannot even, you know, trust anymore.
Some warn the president's threats could have far-reaching consequences for NATO itself.
You cannot attack another country within NATO without, you know, dissolving the whole situation in NATO, which is 80 years old just after the Second World War.
As tensions mounted, a bipartisan U.S. congressional delegation arrived in Copenhagen to try to calm the situation.
I think I speak for every senator and House member here in that we deeply value NATO, This partnership has been absolutely critical to the United States' security and prosperity and success. Greenland is a part of Denmark. Denmark is our NATO ally. That should be the end of this discussion.
From Copenhagen, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Turning to your health, a medical expert explains if you understand how the brain processes your pain, that can help you to deal with your suffering. We're going to hear what he has to say. The story's coming up right after this. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. Roughly 1 in 5 Americans deal with chronic pain, but one doctor says understanding just how pain is processed in the brain can help us to minimize or even eliminate our suffering. Dr. Daniel Amen is the author of Change Your Brain, Change Your Pain. He's the guest on this week's edition of Healthy Living.
There's so many people that suffer, and most people don't know that pain is ultimately processed and lives in your brain, and that 80% of people my age, I'm 70, have abnormal back MRIs who have no pain at all. And when I read that, because, you know, whenever it's your neck, it's your knee, it's your back, you go get an MRI, they're always abnormal. And then the doctor often recommends surgery. But when you understand, almost everybody your age is going to have an abnormal MRI, and most of them have no pain at all, the fear around the MRI begins to go away, and you start looking for other ways to manage the pain.
Just because you have an abnormal MRI, in other words, if it looks like you're having some sort of compression, a disc is being compressed, that doesn't mean that's what's causing your pain. Is that what you're saying?
It's exactly right. And when you optimize and balance your brain, the pain often is less, or in some cases, particularly mine, it goes away. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean surgery's not indicated, but it's never the first and only thing you do. Talk about one study in the book where surgery and the care like I'm talking about were compared to each other, equally effective, but surgery had 21 times the number of side effects. And at Amen Clinics, we do brain imaging work. And one of the things I've learned is that general anesthesia is not good for your brain. Children who have general anesthesia have a higher incidence of learning problems. Adults who have general anesthesia have a higher incidence of memory problems. So when people would recommend surgery to me, I'm like, you know, I'm going to do whatever I can to minimize anesthesia. So what else can I do? And one of the reasons I wrote the book is I'm very curious about why the supplement SAMe, acetylmethionine, or the antidepressant Cymbalta work for both depression and pain. And it's because depression and pain share some of the same circuitry in the brain. And so it's like, why does Cymbalta, it's a good antidepressant, well, why does it decrease back pain or neck pain? Because it's decreasing that part, not in your back or your neck, but it's decreasing those pain circuits in your brain. And Change Your Brain, Change Your Pain is not just about physical pain. It's also about how to manage emotional pain because they run on the same circuits.
Can you talk about this doom loop?
Well, the pain is real in both cases. It's real pain. And yes, it's in your head, but it's because your brain is in your head. It's not in your imagination. So when my back would hurt or my hip or my neck, it's real. I'm not making it up, but it's real and leaving a signature in the brain.
Find out more about Change Your Brain, Change Your Pain by checking out this week's edition of Healthy Living. You can find it today on the CBN News Channel at 2:30 this afternoon and 8:30 this evening, both Eastern times. You can also see it on the CBN News app, or you can find it on YouTube. We're coming back with an encouraging word for your Tuesday. Stay with us.
Has been happening on campuses across the nation.
I'll never forget what I saw.
We did not plan this at all. What in the world is happening?
Thousands of students around this body of water.
I don't know, I'm just in awe of God.
Gen Z has been written off. They're not the generation that's, following the standards.
Honestly, I would just post and post and post and make sure that it looked like everything was okay when deep down it wasn't.
People hate on college students, Gen Z, so much, saying there's no hope for Gen Z.
I think they've had everything the world has to offer, and they're done with it.
You all are a part of a generation that God is sparking revival, and it is spreading.
There's so many people that don't know they're loved, that don't know that they can live free of anxiety, free of depression.
It's just getting started.
Available now. Yours for a gift of any dollar amount.
Time now for your Tuesday Tweetable. Today I want to leave you with this message to post, tag, tweet, and share with those in your circles of influence. It's time for an upgrade. Upgrade what you believe about God, upgrade what you believe about you, and upgrade what you believe about your future. Remember, His thoughts are higher than yours. His ways are higher than yours. Rise to meet Him and stop trying to make Him fit into your limitations. That will do it for this edition of CBN Newswatch. Remember, you can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel. You can find them there anytime as well as online. That address is cbnnews.com. Let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. Come on back and join us right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye, God bless. Thank you for watching.